My name is Eleanor Caldwell. I was 34 when my own family locked me in a guest room, so no one at their golden anniversary gala would see me. One second I was following my mother's voice, "Leave your coat here, darling." And the next, the door slammed, the lock clicked, and I was standing alone like a stain they needed to hide. 10 minutes ticked by in silence. I told myself not to cry, not to give them the satisfaction. Then the door opened, not to Thomas with his smug grin, but a 4-star general in full uniform. He looked straight at me and said, "Ma'am, thank you for your patience." Then he took my hand and walked me out, side by side, into the ballroom where every head turned and the general announced, "She's the reason this investigation exists. What would you do if the family that erased you had to watch you burn their perfect image?" Comment below. I want to hear your story. People ask when it started, as if betrayal has a birthday. It doesn't. It seeps in, quiet, disguised as tradition. I was 10 when I held up my spelling bee trophy. Dad barely looked up. "Good job. Now let's focus on Thomas's training." At 16, I aced the AP exams. Mom's response? "Don't brag, dear. Humility suits a Caldwell." By college, I was the anomaly. No medals, no military commissions, just a journalism major who believed truth mattered more than titles. That belief made me dangerous in a family addicted to appearances. At every holiday, Thomas's deployments were toasted in crystal glasses. Abigail's political galas were splashed across society pages. And me? I got questions like, "So, still writing your little blog?" From relatives who treated my career like a phase, like acne they expected to clear up. When Grandpa died, I flew home for the funeral. I wore black like everyone else, but the whispers cut sharper than grief. "Eleanor's here? Hope she behaves." Behaves. Like truth was rudeness, like curiosity was betrayal. The final crack came at Christmas 3 years ago. I brought an op-ed I'd published on corruption in defense contracts. My mother skimmed the headline, her pearls glinting under the chandelier, and said, "Why can't you write about something inspiring, like military wives or charity events?" Then Thomas laughed, because outrage gets her clicks. I smiled through gritted teeth while they carved the roast. Pretended I didn't notice my chair wasn't at the main table again. I told myself independence was freedom, that being different was power. But sitting alone year after year, you start to wonder, maybe being unseen isn't strength. Maybe it's exile. The years that followed weren't quiet. They were calculated. If my family thought locking me out of their world would break me, they didn't understand what silence can do. It sharpens you. While they paraded at galas, I was chasing leads in conflict zones. My inbox filled with encrypted messages, whistleblowers too scared to speak aloud. Contracts, logistics memos, transport manifests, every thread pointed to one name, Operation Nightshade. At first, I didn't want to believe it. Not because the scheme was impossible, but because the signatures belonged to people I loved. Thomas, his unit, even the family foundation I once raised money for. Every document felt like a bruise blooming under my ribs. I stopped sleeping through the night. I learned to live by burner phones, VPNs, and the cold glow of midnight screens. I wasn't Eleanor the disappointment anymore. I was Eleanor with receipts. Then came the pattern I couldn't ignore. Arms shipments disguised as humanitarian aid, routed through companies Sterling Defense had consulted, and whose names sat on PR approvals for those contracts. Abigail's. My perfect sister, the golden daughter married into power. The day I confirmed it, I shut my laptop and sat in the dark, shaking. Not from fear, but from choice. If I kept going, I'd burn every bridge left. That's when the call came. A voice low, steady, authoritative. "This is General Hargrove. We need to talk." We met in a coffee shop no one with stars on their shoulders should ever step into. He didn't waste time. "You're not wrong," he said, sliding a sealed envelope across the table. "But the question is, can you survive being right?" I stared at that envelope knowing two things. It held the truth and the fuse. The Caldwell estate smelled like old money and polished oak. Crystal chandeliers threw light across uniforms and pearls. I walked in alone, a black dress and the permanent stain of being the family flaw. My mother's smile barely masked dread. Thomas clapped me on the shoulder like a drill sergeant humoring a recruit. Then came her voice. "Your father left something for you. Something personal. Come with me." I followed down the corridor into my father's library, the room I once loved as a child. The door slammed. A metallic click sealed it. My breath hitched. It wasn't just shut, it was locked. From the outside. No windows. No sound except my pulse hammering in my ears. 10 minutes crawled by like a lifetime. I scanned the room, desperate. Rows of leather-bound books, a portrait of Grandpa, eyes judging from the wall. That's when I noticed it. The frame tilted slightly. Behind it, a safe. My fingers shook as I punched codes. Birthdays, anniversaries, nothing. Then I tried the one thing Dad never forgot, his old unit number. Click. Inside, a folder thick with red stamps. Classified, Department of Defense. I sat on the floor, heart in my throat, and read words that burned. Operation Nightshade. Shipment schedules. Arms routed through humanitarian corridors. Signatures. Thomas. PR contracts. Abigail. Internal inquiry launched and buried by my father. I snapped photos fast, compressed, encrypted, fired them to Jules at the Herald. Back up to the cloud. My hands were ice when the lock turned. I braced for Thomas. Instead, a shadow filled the doorway. General Hargrove. Full dress uniform, medals like shards of light. He looked at me, then at the open safe, and said evenly, "Miss Caldwell, thank you for your patience." He held out his hand. Firm, final. And in that instant, I realized I wasn't the prey tonight. I was the detonator. The ballroom froze when we stepped out. General Hargrove and me, side by side. His medals caught the chandelier light like warning flares. Conversations died. Music strangled mid-note. My mother's fork clattered to the floor. Thomas paled, jaw clenched. Abigail gripped her champagne so hard the stem snapped with a crack. Hargrove's voice cut through the silence. "Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Tonight isn't just a celebration. It's a reckoning." Gasps rippled like shockwaves. I didn't wait. I walked straight to the microphone near the band. My pulse hammered, but my voice? Steady. For 50 years, this family wore honor like armor. Tonight, that armor shatters. Thomas barked a laugh, brittle as glass. "Eleanor, don't..." I cut him off. Colonel Thomas Caldwell is under investigation for Operation Nightshade, a covert weapons smuggling network. Documents link him to illegal arms exports, falsified contracts, and profiteering from war zones. The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, the scrape of chairs. And then, two men in dark suits strode forward, badges flashing FBI gold. "Thomas James Caldwell," one read aloud, "you are under arrest for violations of the Arms Export Control Act and conspiracy against the United States." The cuffs clicked like a gunshot. My mother's face collapsed into her hands. Abigail lunged, slapping me hard enough to sting. "You always wanted this, to tear us down so you could feel tall." I didn't flinch. "No," I said softly. "I wanted the truth." Then my phone buzzed. A single text from Jules. "You missed something. Dad's name is on it too." My throat closed. Across the room, my father stood by the far wall, rigid, silent, his world crumbling in slow motion. And for the first time in my life, I saw him not as a general, not as a giant, but as a man who chose silence over justice and lost everything. Weeks later, the headlines faded, but the silence lingered. My father never called. My mother sent one message: "We hope you're satisfied." Abigail. She surprised me. She showed up at my door with groceries and a thumb drive that helped finish the story. Enemies don't always stay enemies. The investigation gutted Nightshade, toppled names bigger than ours. They called me brave. I didn't feel brave. I felt emptied out, like I'd burned every bridge and was left with ashes and truth. Now I live in a small loft in DC. Sunlight floods the space where curtains used to hide me. Each morning I pull out one chair, a plain wooden chair, and set it by the window. I sit with coffee, watching the city wake, and tell myself, I was never asking for a seat at their table. I built my own. Maybe you've been waiting too, waiting for permission, for approval, for someone to hand you a place. Stop waiting. Build your own seat. Build your own life. Tell me in the comments, if you stopped waiting today, what would you start building?